Kieran, we're going to be here with Boxing Bants. I'm here with Mr. Fulfill, Victor Rabei.
Not Fulfill anymore, and Mr. McElhaney.
So you're not sponsored with Fulfill anymore, you know?
No, I have brand new sponsor, the best in the business, McElhaney Homes.
I'm a bit disappointed because I was actually waiting for you to bring in a new sample of the new one, you know?
No.
The last one was in, you gave me the peanut butter one, and I bought home to a friend. He was like, where'd you get that? I said, one of the lads gave it to me. That's sponsored by them. And he was like, give us a taste of that. He was like, that's unreal. Yeah. But anyway, so how have you been anyway? I know I spoke to you kind of briefly over COVID in the lockdown, but how have you been?
Good, solid. Sure, we haven't spoken in a while, and then before that I haven't fought in nearly 16 months, so a long time for me, a time that I didn't want to happen. 3 fights fell through for me, which was shit. I'm very fucking happy and fortunate that I have a fight now in the middle of a pandemic, so kind of all hands on deck with my weight and the rest, and fight tomorrow, fight on Friday, so we'll see how we are.
I remember actually I was supposed to interview you before your fight in America, your first fight in America for Stars, and obviously that you had an injury around that time and you couldn't do it. Has it been hard for you to keep motivated? How's it been for you, like, in that aspect?
Do you know, it was so once that happened and my fight didn't go through on December 13th, it was shit for like a couple of days. So I enjoyed my Christmas. My thing was like, listen, just take a few weeks off. We're back in training in January, and that's what happened. We had a date for initially it was like middle of March, and then it got pushed to April 17th. So I was happy training. It wasn't a problem. Motivation, I wasn't lacking any motivation because it was a big fight. It was meant to be in the States, my first fight in the States, which was great, and I was looking forward to it. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks or something like 3 weeks before, Joe said that Omar Bordo did his shoulder and he couldn't fight, and he put forward Anthony Laureano, who was 13-0 at the time, and he was saying that we can have you on a main event on national TV in New York for some sort of a ranking belt. And I was like, fucking class, absolutely. I looked him up at first. I was like, oh wow, maybe it's a big fight, but then I looked him up and was like, yes, tasty, I want it. And then next thing you know, a week later, the pandemic, and everything was shut. So a few days after that, I was kind of, like I still wasn't really processing what was going on. I think everyone was thinking the same. Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? No one really knew how long this was going to last.
A lot of shows just kept getting postponed.
Yeah,
and then
it was postponed. It was nothing was like, I thought I was going to be fighting in June. So I was like, it's not too bad. Get a few days off.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, kind of reality hit. We're stuck inside 2 kilometer radius of your home. You can't do anything. You can't see anyone. You're just literally at home. So from me training every day for the past couple of years, for all of a sudden for that to be taken away from me, was a shock to the system. I didn't know what to do at first. Like fucking food, snacks, enjoyed Netflix, and then everything ran out of Netflix and Prime and stuff. So I was like, right, well, I better get back to training. So I did a good bit of road work and home workouts and stuff, but you know, they were fun for a bit, and then that's it. It was gone, and then you start missing the lads, and you start missing the gym, and you start missing sparring, and fighting, and all of this, and this all kind of goes on top of you. And then when that happened, I jetted off to Moldova. So I went to get a bit of sun. And and then came back, and then gyms were reopened on July 1st. Now we didn't have a fight date in plan at the time. We just knew we had to be like with what was going on and still going on at the moment. We knew that we had to be at kind of 60-70% fitness, so that if a call came in and said there's a fight in 3 weeks, we'd be able to take it straight away, rather than be like, oh, we need a couple of weeks for training, we need to do this, we need to do that. So I'm in camp since July 1st, so yeah, everything's going well.
MTK were trying to get a show up in Belfast. Ultimately didn't happen because BT and that just wouldn't ship the gear out. Basically, it was too much money. But they were thinking of having a show up north, and obviously if it was going to happen, it was going to be a lot of domestic fights and stuff like that. Were you ever in contact with anyone, or were you ever offered any fights on that show? Or
just,
like that?
I was like, the media, social media, Gary Cully called me out, and to me, like it's just, and I said it to my messenger privately. It's like, listen, and because I didn't know I was called out until someone says like, "Oh, are you fighting Gary Cully?" And I was like, "Well, the first time hearing of it," but like, they didn't even put anything forward. But at the same time, like, I'm on my path. I'm signed with Star Boxing. They wouldn't want me on an MTK show to fight a huge prospect, you know. So to throw me in the deep end so early, especially that it's not in their card, it just doesn't make sense, you know. And they're the ones that are paying the bills at the moment. So if that fight was to happen in the States, then there would have been a conversation, and then we would have taken the next step. But at the time, there's nothing. I haven't received any offers or anything for anyone. So it's just talk. Like, I can see Gary's point. There's a big show set to be in Belfast. He needed an opponent. The only opponent he can get is Ireland. So he was kind of looking around, but I wasn't available. It was the same thing. Like, let's say I'll be in his position and Star Boxing saying, like, we need someone, blah blah, and here's me calling me out. It would be tough to get Gary Cully on a Star Boxing show because he's managed and promoted by MTK and someone else coming up. You know, there's that the business side of things kind of comes into that area and kind of knocks a few things off, because you know, it's not amateur boxing. You want to fight, let's go, club show tomorrow. There's a lot of politics behind it, and there's a lot of money invested, and then obviously the investors, they have their plans for you, and they see you, let's say for example Star Boxing, see me in the States in 3 years time fighting for world titles on probably their shows, or if it's not their shows, they'll be getting a cut of decent money from whoever it is, you know. So there's absolutely no point in throwing me here for what, a couple of grand. Doesn't make sense. It just did to me at the time. It just did make sense.
So you've a show in Valencia this weekend. You're a lucky man. First of all, the person you're fighting, what do you know about them, and are you planning on staying in Valencia after for a week or so, or on holiday?
Well, so first of all, I'm fighting this lad called Herman Isabo. He's a tough Nicaraguan, I think. I think he had the WBC at some stage in his career. He's an old dude, but he's tough come forward fighter. I know he's not gonna just lay down for me. He's gonna come in and he's gonna try win the fight, which is what I wanted. I'm doing 6 rounds again. It's just to get me back into the ring because I haven't fought in so long, and I need to be ready for when the call from the States come, rather than kind of, you know, get the ring rust out of the way now, and then be ready for the state once the call comes. So yeah, that's that. I wish. So initially, Tiernan and Tony were meant to be fighting 2 weeks after, on the same card, like on the same promoter in the same place. And what I wanted to do was fly there, have my fight, and then I'll stay with Tiernan and help Tiernan out with training over in Valencia. But then now he is fighting in Poland, I think 3 weeks after. So there's no point in me staying over there. I'll come back, isolate for a couple of days, get a test. Hopefully everything's smooth, no issues, and then back into the gym and train, and then again be in the same position, because the pandemic hasn't stopped. Like, just because I fight, just when the fight finishes, it doesn't stop. So I want to maintain very good fitness. I want to be at 80% when I come back. Watch the weight, get good sparring, and then again, you never know. There might be a call. There might be a match. They might put on a show and hand me a good fight. You know, then we need to start working now. It's the lads that are sitting at home doing nothing, or just doing a 5k here and there. You know, that's not boxing. We're not runners.
The show. So are you going to stay down on holiday after? Or?
No. No, I'm back on Sunday. I'm flying out on Thursday and back on Sunday.
All right.
Nice and short. I've had my month off.
You know, it's funny because there's people that are signing with Boxing Ireland, that are signing with MTK and whatnot, and a lot of them are fighting at home. And any time someone fights with a promoter that's abroad, like in America or wherever it is, even Dylan who's just signed Liechtenstein, you know, you always think to yourself, people would always thought, as an Irish fighter, when anytime you go abroad, you're taking a risk, you know, because you have to take the risk if you want to, as an Irish fighter, because a lot of people don't have pull. But now, do you feel like it's paid off for you in the fact that everyone in your gym now is getting fights because you're signed with people who are abroad, so all these are able to fight now? You know, I think pretty much everyone in the gym is now able to. So it's kind of paid off for you, kind of taking those gambles.
Yeah, I think Conor Slater did a really good job in the sense that he's always been kind of dipping his fingers into a lot of people's pies and keeping contact with, like, for example, Valencia. Like, that popped out of nowhere. He said, Vic, there's a fight in Valencia, there's a show in Poland, there's a show there, there's a show here, there's this many options for you. It's like, what do you want to do? It's like, which one do you want to go on to? So we're being given a lot of opportunities, where I feel as if I was signed with MTK, then you're limited to Ireland, the UK. Where else do they put shows? You know, sometimes in Saudi Arabia and stuff, but they're massive cards. So for where I am in my career at the moment, I'm very happy that I'm signed with someone in the States, because at the moment, if you really think about it, like, the bigger fights, the tastier fights are here. They're happening in the UK, they're happening in Europe and stuff. There's not that many big fights in the States, unless it's Canelo or, like, you hear of them, but it's not what it used to be when Mayweather was around, when Pacquiao was around, when even Pacquiao now, like, you don't really hear of them that much. So I think there's something to catch there, to go in, take a bit of riskier fights, but I think that you'll climb to the top a little bit quicker than you would if you were to do it here. And the other reason is because there's so many talented lads fighting, and you have to take a riskier fight here than you would in the States. For example, your man Anthony Laureano, 13-0, big fight main event. I honestly think I was going in with the idea that I'm going to stop that motherfucker in 3 rounds. He was just, I've seen so many gaps and so many weaknesses, that slow starts, all of these things, whereas boxing in our neck of the woods is fucking booming. Everyone is in for big fights, everyone performs really well, the sparring is phenomenal. So it'll be tougher to climb up the ladder here, I think, at the moment. Now, it's my own opinion, than it would be in the States, and I'm fortunate to have a promoter in the States that will kind of give me cards to fight on. Again, my idea behind going into a big fight straight away is, why not? You know, I'll go in there, I'll rob some fans off people. They'll come in, rather than come in and getting an easy fight, I'll fight someone from their stable that's fought in New York for his career, whoop his ass, and they'd be like, because they would have put him up on a pedestal, you know, they would have looked up to him like, oh, this is such a good guy, and then all of a sudden this random comes in and then whoops his ass, so I'd be like, class, and then I'm signed with them for the next 3 years, so I can really pull off their fans, rather than start from start and build my fan base up there, you know.
It's a bit like your sparring partner, or someone you were sparring partner for Eric. Like, Eric took a gamble and went over on his opponent, and even though he's lost, his stock has actually probably risen, and Eddie has promised him another opportunity. But like Tommy McCarthy, now I know Tommy fully believed that he was going to beat Richard Riakporhe, and if you look at their past, like, Tommy was such a good decorated amateur, and then Richard Riakporhe was basically a white collar boxer.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Even though he lost, he took the opportunity, and he actually was given another opportunity by Eddie, obviously, and then he won the belt from that. So as you're saying there, yeah, like, if you take the gamble, you win or lose, you're stopped.
It's not like, just to use Eric as an example, I even said it to him before, but not to him personally, but I was chatting to the lads, and I said, listen, going into this fight, win or lose, I think Eric is doing fucking fantastic, and I had him up 4 or 5 rounds into that fight. It's just professional boxing. One fucking punch turns absolutely everything upside down. Do you know? But he performed so well on such a big on a big stage, and obviously in Eddie Hearn's fucking backyard. Eddie Hearn loved that there was a fight presented to him. Listen, self-apart in X amount of time. Let's do it. He said yes, let's go. But they signed their contracts. He fought, did really well. Now he'll use him again. You'll get him on Eddie Hearn's shows again, and you'll get loads of money again, and you'll be on TV again, and you never know. Might be maybe for a European title, maybe for something else. There's always options, and at the moment, like, Eddie Hearn, like, he does have fighters, but then I think they always constantly need more and more fighters, because those fighters that he has, what happens if one of them or 2 of them or 3 of them get injured? Then he's like, oh fuck, I have to pull a card down. Whereas if he has the selection of lads, boom, 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 slap them in. Yeah. You know?
Billy Jordan and Reece Bellotti, just putting them in with each other. What I was going to say to you is, with you now, you're kind of signed abroad, and with Star Boxing, that's ultimately like the shows that you want to be fighting on. And whatnot. Do you think, because you've already had quite a time on the domestic scene, your last fight was in the Dunlop show, and you know, you fought in TG Carter and all that. Do you think you'd ever entertain coming back and fighting domestically, like for an Irish title or anything like that, or do you think if you won a ranking belt like a WCU title or whatever, do you think you'd ever go back?
I think, like, I'm not Irish, but I've lived here all my life now.
Yeah.
You know, I would love an Irish belt. I don't know, there's just something, like, I remember even being in the amateurs, and I think it was Badger or someone had an Irish belt, and I was like, that's class, that looks great. I'd love, and nearly all Irish title fights that have happened, they've been fucking wars as well.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have an Irish title by now, but it is what it is. Professional boxing in Ireland's gone. It's gone down. There's not a lot happening at the moment. All right, so it just depends if it will be within the next year or two. Then yeah, possibly. But I'm aiming to be a lot higher than that in the next 3 years. I genuinely want to be world ranked, world top 15 ranked within the next 2 years max. Be there playing with the big dogs, fighting on big shows, co-main events, main events against big lads. I've had 8 fights here. I don't want to say I've proven myself, but I fought a very tough debut. I fought Mark Morrison, my 4th. He was 3-1, an Irish lad. Then I fought Carl Kelly for the title. Then I was in Castlebar on TV. Then I fought Jake again for the Celtic title, which was meant to be an Irish title. And then after that, I took a Keep Busy fight, and then it was just meant to get me ready for the States. And then obviously I just had a streak of bad luck with how things went. Yeah. But my plan hasn't changed. I still want those big fights. I still want to be in the States. I want to fight abroad. I want to be fighting for a world title in 3 years' time. You know, and I think they can give them to me. So yeah, work hard and just keep pulling towards that. It's very easy to get discouraged and look at the easier options of making more money going on site or doing this or doing that. Like I think I could. If I was to stop boxing now, I'd be a lot wealthier than I am now. But it's not what I want. The end goal. It's not the end goal, you know. And I think if I was to stop now, then it'll be one of the biggest regrets of my life. So why not do it? Yeah.
Okay. It's funny because people always say, domestic level in terms of people who turn over and they like an achievement for them would to be winning an Irish title. Yeah. But still, you want to prove yourself. So it gets to a stage where you win the title, and then it's like, but I wonder that if I can go an extra step. I wonder if I can. Do you know what I mean? So that's why it's healthy that, you know, you're setting your bar so high. You know.
But look at it as progressions, right? So you use the belts as a measurement of where you're at the time. So I won the Celtic title. The next step to that would have been the Irish title. Next step to that, maybe get an IBF or something intercontinental, one of these European belts. The EBU belt is very so the Irish belt, the EBU belt, and a world title belt, the WBC would probably be my kind of my stepping stones that I'd love to have. Yeah. Do you know? I think that your national belt, which is the Irish belt, is something that you need to get hold of, and then once you get hold of that, then you can have a crack at the EBU, and then once you have that, then you can have a go at the big leagues, which I think is the WBC is the one that I'd love to have at some stage of my career.
If you change your name to Victor Urbano, you probably get a shot at the WBC straight away. Like,
straight away.
As soon as you have anything with him action, you get it straight away.
There we go. I got a sombrero.
But look, Victor, I really appreciate your time. I know that you're making weight, so I know you're actually quite perky today.
Do you know what? Yeah,
perky for which is a good sign, obviously.
I'm not bad. I've done it, but not that I've done it wrong before. But nutritionist was what I introduced into this camp, and it's going great. Yeah. Well, it's good. So yeah, thanks very much for coming down and doing this with me, and all the best of luck for the weekend. Hopefully, I appreciate it.
Can anyone watch the fight? Is someone going to be streaming?
There will be. So as far as I know, the promoter himself will have it on his Facebook page. I think there'll be a YouTube stream. I'll have everything up on my social media platforms. I'll put the links to my bios and stuff the second I find out what they are.
Grand. Okay, right. Well, thanks very much, Victor. All right, and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right.